Good morning, dear students. This is chapter 15, our environment, and this is part 1 of chapter 15. In this part, we will discuss about ecosystem and its components, and then we will study about food chains and food web. And at the end of the session, we will discuss about the activities that affect the environment. So at first, I'll start with environment. What is environment? What are the factors that impact the environment? Okay. See, in your daily life, I'm sure that many times you have heard the word environment. This word is often being used on television, in newspapers, and even the people around us. Many times in our home, our elders also tells us about the environment, and they say that it is not what it used to be earlier. It is changed. Okay, some people say that we should work in healthy environment. If we are working in healthy environment, our productivity will be more. And many times developed and developing countries also regularly held to discuss environmental issues. So what is this environment? What are the factors that have a great impact on this environment? All these things we will discuss in this chapter. At first, I'll start with ecosystem and its components. All the organisms such as plants, animals, microorganisms, and human beings, as well as the physical surroundings, interact with each other and maintain a balance in nature. These all make up ecosystem. All the interacting organisms in any area, together with non-living constituents of the environment, form an ecosystem. So we can say that ecosystem consists of biotic components and abiotic components. These are the components of ecosystem. Here we can take an example to explain environment. If you visit a garden, what do you find over there? You find so many plants, grass, trees, flower bearing plants, and birds, frogs, other insects. All these things you find over there in the garden. These all are living organisms and they interact with each other and that affect their growth, reproduction, and other activities. Okay, and at the same time that is affected by the abiotic components of ecosystem also. Abiotic components means soil, temperature, these all are water, these all are the abiotic components. So we can say because there is biotic and abiotic components are together in the garden is an ecosystem, and this is a natural ecosystem. Other natural ecosystems are forest, ponds, lakes. These are the natural ecosystems. On the other hand, aquarium, that is human made, that is an artificial ecosystem. An ecosystem is a community of living organisms in conjunction with non-living components of their environment interacting as a system, that is ecosystem. There are two components of ecosystem. Number one, biotic components, it means living organism, and number two, abiotic components, means physical factors like temperature, rainfall, wind, soil, and minerals. So that was ecosystem and its components. Here is the activity given in your textbook. This activity is about the aquarium. An artificial aquarium is made up in your home, and what is saying, let me read it for you. Aquarium you all have seen. Okay. See, when we are creating an aquarium, what are the things we should keep in our mind? We should provide a free space to the fish so that it can swim properly. Okay. So the jar or the box of the glass that we are taking, it should be having enough space so that a fish can move freely inside it. It should be having water, oxygen, and food for the fish. Okay. And we can provide oxygen through an oxygen pump, and fish food also we are supposed to provide when we are creating a aquarium. If we add few aquatic plants and aquatic animals in the aquarium, it can become a self-sustaining system. An aquarium is the best example of human-made ecosystem. Now do one thing. Can you leave the aquarium as such it is set up? No, we cannot leave it. We need to clean the aquarium regularly. So, have you ever thought that why don't we clean the natural ponds or natural lakes? And why do we need to clean the aquarium regularly? Yeah, we need to clean the aquarium regularly. On the other hand, we do not need to clean ponds and lakes. Why? Because aquarium does not have decomposers. While natural lakes or natural ponds or natural water bodies have decomposers and that can be cleaned naturally. All the living organisms can be grouped as producers, consumers, and decomposers according to the manner in which they obtain their sustenance from the environment. What are producers? The living organism that can make organic compounds like sugar and starch from inorganic substances using the radiant energy of the sun in the presence of chlorophyll are called producers. All green plants and certain blue-green algae which can produce food by photosynthesis come under this category and they all are called producers. And what are consumers? The organisms that depend on the producers either directly or indirectly for their sustenance, they are called consumers. Consumers can be classified as herbivorous, carnivorous, omnivorous, and parasites. The microorganism that breaks down complex organic substance into simple inorganic substances are called decomposers. These microorganisms help in decaying dead remain and waste product of the organism that go into the soil and are used up once more by the plants. That is very important task done by the decomposers. Bacteria and fungi are the example of decomposers. What will happen to the garbage and dead animals and plants in their absence? Have you ever thought? If decomposers are not there, then what will happen to the garbage? So to decay the garbage, to decay the dead bodies, decomposers are necessary in our environment. Now I'll come to the next topic, food chain and food webs. In nature, we have seen the series of organisms feeding on one another. This series of living organisms taking part at various biotic levels form a food chain. Here you can see these are the producers, green plants, okay? And that is the next level, living organism. And food plants are eaten by this second level living organism. And this organism is eaten by this next level organism, okay? So all the organisms depend on each other for food. And when a series is formed, this is known as food chain. These green plants are eaten by this insect and this insect is eaten by this living organism and then another level living organism and this is eaten by the last one. So this has formed a chain and that is known as food chain. Each step or each level of the food chain forms a trophic level. The autotrophs or the producers are at the first trophic level. Here you can see this is the first trophic level of food chain. Okay. The producers fix up solar energy and make it available for heterotrophs or the consumers. The herbivorous or we can say the primary consumers, they are at second trophic level. Small carnivorous or the secondary consumers, they are at third trophic level. And large carnivorous or we can say territory consumers, they are at fourth trophic level. So these all are different trophic levels. Each step or each level of food chain is known as trophic level. Flow of energy. We know that the food we eat acts as a fuel to provide us energy to do work. Thus, the intersections among various components of the environment involves flow of energy from one component of the system to the another component. The autotrophs capture the energy present in sunlight and then they convert it into chemical energy. This energy supports all the activities of the living world. From autotrophs, the energy goes to the heterotrophs and the decomposers. Why? Because they are the upper level animals. However, we know that when one form of energy is changed to another, some amount of energy is lost to the environment in the forms which cannot be used again. The flow of energy between various components of the environment has been extensively studied, and it has been found that the green plants in a terrestrial ecosystem capture about 1% of the energy of the sunlight that falls on their leaves, and then they convert it into food energy. While the green plants are eaten by primary consumers, a great deal of energy is lost as heat to the environment, and some amount of energy goes into digestion and in doing work, and the rest of the energy goes towards the growth and reproduction. An average of 10% of the food eaten is turned into its own body and made available for the next level of consumers. So what do you observe over here? Only 10% will go to the next level. So now therefore 10% can be taken as the average value for the amount of organic matter that is present at each step and reaches the next level of consumers. Since so little energy is available for the next level of consumers, food chain generally consists of only 3 or 4 steps. The loss of energy at each step is so great that very little usable energy remains after 4 trophic levels. There are generally a greater number of individuals at the lower trophic levels of an ecosystem, and the greatest number is of the producers. Here you can see in the picture, this is the lower level producers, then 10% energy will go to the next level, then these are the secondary consumers, then territory, and the last one. The length and the complexity of food chain vary greatly. Each organism is generally eaten by 2 or more than other kinds of organism, which is turn are eaten by several other organisms. Always it is not possible to follow the straight food line. Sometimes first level animals can be eaten by 2 or more than 2 other animals. So instead of a straight line food chain, the relationship can be shown as a series of branching lines that is called a food web. Here in this picture you see the food web. So how can we define a food web? A food web is the natural interconnection of food chains and a graphical representation of what eats what in an ecological community. That is food web. From the energy flow diagram, two things become clear. First, the flow of energy is unidirectional. मतलब energy only one direction में ही जाएगी. That is unidirection flow of energy. The energy that is captured by the autotrophs does not revert back to the solar input, and the energy which passes to the herbivorous does not come back to the autotrophs. As it moves progressively through the various trophic levels, it is no longer available to the previous level. And the another very interesting aspect of the food chain is how unknowingly some harmful chemicals enter our bodies through the food chain. Water gets polluted due to the use of several pesticides and other chemicals to protect our crops from disease and pests. And these chemicals are either washed down into the soil or into the water bodies. From the soil, these are absorbed by the plants along with the water and minerals, and from the water bodies, these are taken up by aquatic plant and animals. And this is one way out, means this is one of the way which they enter the food chain. And once they enter the food chain, they pass from one level to another level. These chemicals are not degradable, so these get accumulated progressively at each trophic level. As human beings occupy the top level in any food chain, the maximum concentration of these chemicals get accumulated in our bodies. This phenomena is known as biological magnification. This is the reason why our food grains such as wheat, rice, vegetables, fruits, and even meat contain varying amounts of pesticide residue. They can't always be removed by washing or any other mean. So this was biological magnification. Here you can see in the picture how mercury concentration is occurring from the first level. This is going to the next level, and from there to the next level. Okay, it is here, and level to level, at the end it will go to the higher level. Biological magnification as the process where toxic substances move up the food chain and become more concentrated at each level. Here, with the help of the animation, you can understand this process clearly. Stepwise, the process is shown where toxic elements are eaten by the small creatures, and then it passes from small one to the bigger one, and then to the next level. And this is the way how toxic elements are passing or moving up with the help of food chain and becoming more concentrated at each level. At the amount of toxic level is the most at the higher level. Here you can see now these fish are eating the small creature, and the toxic elements are passing to them, and at the next level the toxic element will go to the higher level passing this fish. Okay, these are the question answers. If you have gone through this session sincerely, I think you can answer these questions. But then also, first question is, what are trophic levels? Give an example of a food chain and state the different trophic levels in it. Here is the answer of question 1. In the food chain, the transfer of food energy takes place at various levels, and these levels are known as trophic levels. Example is given. And what is question 2? Let me read it. What is the role of decomposers in the ecosystem? Actually, decomposers act as cleansing agent of the environment by decomposing the dead plants and the animals. In the absence of decomposers, our environment will not be clean. Okay. So, okay, students, this was all about this session. I hope you liked it. And now we'll meet in part 2 of this session. Thank you.